So I'm back with some more odd hardware here. I've been looking for some kind of cheap, low power options for file servers to use to build Plan 9 networks with. And this thing came up a few months ago for me. I've seen it a few times on Alibaba. Sometimes they pop up on Amazon, always under different brand names. Not sure exactly who designed and built these things. But they come in a few different configurations. They'll have some variety of usually like an Intel or an AMD, like a laptop CPU, and either 2 or 4 networking ports. I went ahead and got the one with 4 networking ports. And it ended up being quite the adventure. So the first time I found one of these, I decided I was going to get it, found it on AliExpress, put it in an order, got a little message not long after that saying, yeah, we're all sold out of those and we're not going to get any more because they're making a new one with a different CPU. Would you like to be notified when that comes out? And I was like, sure. And they refunded me my money. And then I forgot about it for a couple months. And then recently decided, hey, I'm going to try that again. Put in another order for another one. Got a message back saying, yeah, we don't have that one. It's sold out. But we do have some of the older ones. Would you want one of those? So I was like, sure. Ended up getting like a bunch of coupons on it. So these things go for, depending on the configuration, around like starting at about $200. I ended up getting like, there was a sale going on. Then I got a coupon. So I got this thing for about like 170. What I ordered is supposed to have 8 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig NVMe drive in there. And then there's spots for 2 platter drives. So let's open this thing up and see what I got. So this thing says XCY user manual. So that's the company I ordered it from. And a little qualified certificate, same company. So I don't think they make it because, again, I've seen quite a few other companies sort of brand that. So we got thing on a little plastic bag here. Oh, and comes with an HDMI cable. Let's see. Another little box underneath. Let's get that out of the way. So here we go. Here's the actual server itself. And this weird kind of plasticky paper stuff. All right, so we got a power button on the front. On the back, we got headphone jack. So these are blue here, so they should be USB 3, but when you're getting mystery Chinese computers, that isn't always the case. Another standard USB, HDMI, the 4 networking ports, and then it's kind of hard to make on the white plastic, but that has a little sort of line with the dashes, so that's your power plug. And then, yeah, okay. Let's see here. So yeah, there's some little metal bars on the lid and probably some magnets underneath to hold it down. And then a little clip, and yep. So, little hard drive sled. So it'll take 2 full-size, 3.5-inch platter drives. So sort of a toolless setup. It has a little sort of rubber jobs here with the nubs to go into the screw holes on a hard drive. So it goes that way. All right. Underneath, yeah, I could see a fan down in there. So I'm not sure if that's the intake or the exhaust. And we got a little box here. And this is our power brick. And then, oh, little rubber feet. So I guess that would go in the holes there to give it little rubber feet. Put that in backwards. So the little tab goes on the back. All right. And then standard US plug. In the brick here, it says it's 19 volts by 6 amps. So, not too bad. I mean, that would actually, you could put quite a bit of power through that, really. Be careful, may become hot. All right. Well, I'll try to be careful, but that seems to be everything. So, a power brick, the feet, and the user manual here doesn't really say much. Oh, it just says it has an option for a Wi-Fi module, but yeah, this is this is for something else like completely different here. So might be able to make it out there. It shows like, you know, this little sort of square thing is your mini PC. So when it says to put a Wi-Fi module in, it's for something totally different. You know, here's the plugs for the square thing here. Yeah, this is instructions for something completely different. So still no idea then. So they don't have the instruction manual for it. But anyway, now that I got it, let's turn it on and see if we can get into the BIOS and see if there's anything installed on there. Alright, firing it up. Oh, can hear the fan spinning. And there's our BIOS. I'll try the delete key. And that worked. Cool. Alright, so what do we see here? So this one's got an AMD Athlon 300U. It's got the 8 gigs of RAM installed. Let's see what else we got here. Power management. Not much there. SATA. Alright, I did drop a platter drive in there, so it does see that, 500 gigs. Alright, CPU temperature. 50 plus. Smart fan enabled. So we can set some values for our fans. That'll be handled in the BIOS. Everything's turned on for the CPU. It's got USB. 2 keyboards, 2 mice. That's odd. I only have 1 keyboard and 1 mouse plugged in. Compatibility support module. Interesting. So NVMe. So there's the 500 gig NVMe that's in there. So this is Toshiba. Network stack, AMD CBS. Oh, we got some more stuff in here. Zen. What do we got? Core threads. Oh, I'm not going to mess with that right now. Oh, it says it sees the 4 LAN ports. I could put in a password. Some boot options. So let's see right now. USB, hard disk, and NVMe drive has a Windows boot manager on it. All right, well, let's see what it boots into. Oh, sure enough, looks like it comes pre-installed with Windows 11. All right. Well, now that we see that the thing works, let's tear into it and see what we get. I'll go ahead and turn this back off. Well, let's get it apart. Lid off. So here's the sled that had the drive on it. And it's sort of one of those toolless sort of setups. It just has the little rubber guys with a little peg. So you can just sort of clip the drives in. These are fairly flexible. Right. Got 6 screws on top and 4 on the bottom. And it looks like those little rubber feet that came separate would have covered those up. So I guess it's kind of nice that they didn't install the feet. So I'm going to start on the bottom 4 here. And get those out. Oh. I think the whole thing just slid out. Oh, sure enough. The whole thing slides out, and those 2 pieces come off. So not much to it. They have the power button on here, and inside, just on the little live hinge there. And we got 1 fan down here, and another one over a heatsink for the CPU. So looking at this, I think these top screws here just sort of hold the frames in for the hard drive sleds. And then we have 4 to hold the fan on. And we have 4, they're kind of offset. So these 2 I could get to, but I'm going to have to get the fan out of the way to get these other screws out. Alright, so these are hard to see on the camera there. These are like wood screws, so they're just digging into that plastic there. These other ones screwed into, there's little brass inserts in the plastic. So these little guys are little machine threads, and there's nice little brass inserts that are threaded for those to go into. But the CPU fan's just big old gnarly wood screws right into the plastic. So we'll get it up and out of the way. Ah, there goes. All right. So now we can get these other 4. So these are different. Yeah, these are different from the screws on the outside. These ones have a slightly smaller head on them. So I'll keep those separate. All right. And then that's those 4. There's something holding this. All right. Well, that's interesting. So the fan power and the headers for the hard drives come in through this little PCI port here, and there's a little card end on the edge of the motherboard here. So how do we get the rest of this off? Well, I'm mostly looking for any sort of labels in here, so there's our SATA drive. So we actually have 2 spots for sodimms, and there's 1 in here right now. So looks like some no-name product of China, or no, Micron, maybe? It's got the M with a little circle around it on there. Kind of getting washed out on the camera. I was looking for some sort of name on here of who manufactured this, but it's still a mystery. Just a few stickers with some numbers on it, but no, I'm not seeing anything actually printed anywhere. I guess I'll never know. Anyway, so we know what's inside, we know it works. Next step is to see if we can get 9Front onto it. All right, so I got a 9Front thumb drive in and booting that up. Oh, and there it goes. So let's see how far we get. All right, so where's my mouse? Don't have it yet. But we can see, well, it'll probably be a little bit better once I get the resolution set. So let's do 1280. Visa. All right, Visa works. Sort of cut it off, but it did mention, so it does see the networking device. All 4 of them show up. PS2 mouse. Get some of these little sort of legacy things failing out. Mouse plugged in, forgot about that. Oh, there we go, got a mouse. All right. So let's double check the boot message there. Oops. Forgot they turned scroll off by default. All right, let's see what we get. All right, IRQs, IOs, config. This is standard stuff. All right, here's our boot message here. So it sees 4 cores. So right now I have a plugged into the bottom port, and that comes back as a gigabit. So I think the bottom port would be the first port, or port 0. So let's see if we can get it to connect to the network. So it'd be IP config, be ether on net, ether 0. All right. So let's see if I can ping my file server. Oops, IP ping. That's my router. All right. Well, that works. Let's make sure DNS works. All right. Nice. So we got that port works. The other one should work too. Let's check some more, see what other information Plan 9 dug up here. All right. So here was our boot message. So what else did it see? USB, the memory. All right, we have the hard drive. So I have that other platter drive in there. So that showed up. And the NVMe drive. So it can read the NVMe drive. Here they both are. So there's a Toshiba NVMe with the Windows partitions and stuff on it. And then the other one, yeah, probably has Linux or something on there on that platter drive. Here's a PCI report. So a bunch of Raven 2 stuff. Not sure what that means. All right, here's our Realtek 8111 PCI Express Gigabit Ethernet controller. So it looks like all 4 showed up. And then more. Oh, we got audio. I'll have to test the sound. All right, yep, an authentic AMD CPU. This CPU does not support VMX. Yeah, the VMX stuff's only for Intel. So yep, sees the USB stuff. Well, looks good. Yep, I can read the 2 hard drives. Reading, so yeah, Ether 0, it's reading stuff from that. All right, looks good. So looks like this thing's ready to roll for 9Front right out the gate. Guess I could try plugging in some speakers maybe. I'd have to go fetch an audio clip from somewhere. All right, give me a second to do that. Okay, I had to go through a little bit of a process there since this thing's running off a boot drive. Doesn't have access to the hard drives yet, so I had to run ramfs to make a temporary sort of, fake disk drive out of RAM, and then fetch something from my file server. And all I have is some headphones laying around, so I'll play through that. So hopefully you can hear that's working. But yeah, it plays audio and everything too. So far everything's working on this little device with 9Front so far. So not too bad for, like I said, I got this one for a little bit of a sale, but yeah, not too bad so far. So in the end there, not a bad little option. I guess it's just always going to be a mystery who makes this thing, but I ended up, so these things went for retail in this configuration a little over $200. I think it was like $209 on AliExpress. They had a sale going on, and then I got like a $20 off coupon on top of that. So, not too bad considering, everything actually runs on 9Front. So this thing's ready to go to be a little file server. I could even have audio output as an option if I want to. And yeah, actually get some options there with 2 platter drives, and the Nvme drive is also accessible, along with the networking ports. So playing around with it a little bit more, I did find that if this was booted without anything plugged in, it would have difficulty connecting to it. So this particular driver probably needs a little bit of polish on that end, but as long as it's plugged in during boot, it seems to be fine. So, which I imagine that's what you do. I think the idea, I mean, even though they give you an HDMI port on it, it seems to be one of those things you just sort of set on a shelf somewhere. I mean, I guess it would look kind of stylish on a desk. Yeah, it has a nice little sort of blue power light on it, and that's about it. Although for everyday use, being that there's no USB on the front or anything, it's not super accessible. But it's, my plan is to, get 9Front on here, move some of my more kind of production ready software off onto that. So, controlling my light bulbs and a few other things, I'll move them off my development grid onto just a regular sort of plain file server without doing anything fancy to it. So hopefully it'll just sit there and serve files. And in the meantime, have fun.